Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clay, and I am the Bucks believer. NBA free agency begins tomorrow night, and the Bucks have quite a few needs that they need to fill. Unfortunately, because they have very limited resources with which to fill these needs, I'm not expecting any splashy moves. The Bucks are already well over the salary cap and are even approaching the luxury tax, so it's unlikely that they will have any sort of cap space unless they make a salary dump trade, and they probably won't have access to their full mid-level exception either, which would be valued at around $9.5 million. Instead, the Bucks have the taxpayer mid-level exception, which is about $5.9 million. With this exception, they can probably bring in a solid bench contributor, but likely nothing more than that, and after the taxpayer mid-level, they're going to be left with filling out the rest of the roster with minimum contracts. Over the next few days, I'm going to be breaking down a few different candidates that the Bucks could bring in with that taxpayer mid-level, as it is their best resource to bring in a new free agent. The first way the Bucks can use their taxpayer mid-level exception is by re-signing a player who is already on their roster. This would have to be a player who the Bucks do not already have bird rights on, so they cannot go over the salary cap to re-sign. There are two players on the Bucks roster that fit this description, Bryn Forbes and Jeff Teague. I think that it's very unlikely that the Bucks use this exception money to re-sign either of those players. The first, we'll start with Forbes. Bryn had a fantastic regular season for the Bucks and proved that he's worth this kind of money. However, I don't think that the team to give him that money should be the Bucks, because Milwaukee is looking to compete for a championship and Forbes was not able to stay on the court for the playoffs, so to me the Bucks should be looking to find a playoff contributor instead of someone who is mostly just valuable in the regular season. With Jeff Teague, he probably has not warranted a contract of this caliber. At this point in his career, he likely will be playing for minimums, so if the Bucks do want to bring him back, it should be on a minimum contract, not for the elevated number that comes with the taxpayer mid-level. There are also several players who were not on the Bucks roster last season whom they could look to bring in. One of these is Austin Rivers, who was a starter on the Nuggets last season as they made the second round of the postseason. During those 10 postseason games, Rivers started 9 of them, and he was pretty good for Denver, averaging 9.2 points and 2.1 assists while knocking down 41.3% of his three-point shots in Jamal Murray's absence. Rivers is someone who's very interesting to me for the Bucks because he can create his own shot off the bench and is also a reliable defensive player with a really solid frame. He's 6'4", 200 pounds with a 6'7" wingspan, and that should theoretically allow him to be a switchable defender from the point guard position to the small forward position. Considering the Bucks ran much more switching defenses last year than they ever have in the past, bringing in someone with this type of versatility would be very intriguing to me. Rivers isn't an excellent shooter as he's sitting at just 35% from beyond the arc for his entire career, but I think that his combination of shot creation and defensive versatility would make him a solid option for the Bucks to sign with their taxpayer mid-level. Raul Neto is another player who started on a playoff team this past season, but that's where his similarities to Rivers end. He lacks Austin's positional size as he stands just 6'1", 180 pounds with a 6'2" wingspan. This prevents him from being a switchable defender whatsoever, but he still can exist in other defensive schemes and is generally a plus defender at the point guard position. He is an excellent defender at the point of attack and does a great job of using his strong lateral quickness to keep guys in front. He's also a pretty pesky defender as he's posted a 2.1% steal rate across his career so far. In addition to his great defense, Neto is also a capable jump shooter as he shot 39% from beyond the three-point line for his career. Neto isn't going to do much more than be a 3-and-D style point guard, but considering the Bucks don't need much more from him as he'll mostly be playing off the ball alongside Chris Middleton and Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think this could be a really nice fit and someone I'd strongly consider targeting if I were the Bucks. Corey Joseph was someone who I didn't think would be available on the free agency market until yesterday when the Detroit Pistons decided not to pick up his non-guaranteed contract for next season. Joseph is the best passer that I'll talk about on this list, as last season during time split between Sacramento and Detroit, he posted a 21.4% assist rate. Joseph is also a versatile defender. He's not quite as switchable as Rivers is, but he certainly does have a good frame at the point guard position, standing at 6'3", 200 pounds with a 6'6" wingspan. Joseph is also a bit pesky at the point of attack, not quite on the same level as Neto, but he does have a 1.8% steal rate for his career. He's not nearly the shooter that either of the two players I've talked about so far are, so for that reason I don't love his fit with the Bucks, but he can shoot 33% from beyond the arc for his career, so this would be a respectable signing for the Bucks, even if it's not necessarily the direction that I would go in. Patty Mills is one of the oldest players on this list, as he will turn 33 before next season, but he's also one of the most celebrated players, both as a teammate and as a player. Mills has had a ton of success during his time with the San Antonio Spurs, and the biggest reason for that is his jump shot. Last season, Mills shot 37.5% from beyond the arc, but that came off of a lot of difficult movement shots and on a very high volume, as Patty took 9.2 3-pointers per 36 minutes played. That is by far the highest rate of 3-point shots of the players I'll be talking about in today's video, and Mills is clearly the best shooter of this group. Unfortunately for Patty, he doesn't do too much else on the offensive end of the court. He's a solid passer, but not a great one, and he doesn't do too much in terms of creating his own shot. Mills also has a hard time on defense, standing at just 6'1", 180 pounds. He's an intriguing option for the Bucks to sign because of his movement shooting, but his struggles on defense and in shot creation make him someone that I'd probably look to move on from if I were the Bucks. Lou Williams is probably the biggest name of any player on this list, but he's also probably the worst fit with the Bucks. The biggest reason for that is his defensive flaws. Williams is extremely undersized for the point guard position, and while most people make up for that with effort, Williams is far from being that type of player. He is one of the most lazy defenders in the entire league, and that lackadaisical approach to the defensive end of the court makes him an extreme liability. In most situations, Williams can make up for his defensive flaws on the offensive end of the court, where he's one of the best guards at generating offense in the entire league. Across his career, Lou has averaged 14.3 points and 3.5 assists per game, while drawing 4.4 free throw attempts per game, as well as he's terrific at using his body to maneuver himself into positions to draw fouls. Even with all of that being said, I don't think that Williams' offense fits very well with what the Bucks want to do either. He is a reliant on-ball player, and in a situation where with the Bucks, he'd be asked to play off the ball. While Lou Williams has improved his three-point shooting greatly, shooting 39.9% from three last season, I still don't think that he can function very well as an off-the-ball player, and for that reason, I don't think I'd be interested in signing him if I were Milwaukee. Last but not least, we have JJ Redick. Redick is a sharpshooter who has already played with 6 NBA teams, including the Bucks, and is coming into a season at his ripe old age of 37 years old. Redick is a high-level three-point shooter, as he's terrific at knocking down shots off of movement and would genuinely be a fantastic pairing with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis was great out of the inverted pick and roll with Bryn Forbes, and Redick would be even better in that combination. Unfortunately, Redick has been on a bit of a decline over the past couple of seasons. Last year, he shot 37.1% from beyond the arc, which is still above league average, but that's the worst percentage that JJ has shot in his last 8 seasons of NBA play. In addition to his declining jump shot, as well as being a poor defender with little to no shot creation, I don't necessarily think that this is an intriguing signing for the Bucks, and you could probably get Redick on the minimum for at this point if you truly were interested in signing him. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope that you all enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, especially if you are a fellow Bucks believer. This is the place for you. Also, let me know in the comment section down below which of these players you would most want the Bucks to sign with their taxpayer mid-level exception. Personally, I would be a big fan of a Howell Neto or Austin Rivers signing if the Bucks were to use their exception money on a guard. I think that I've covered everything that I wanted to cover, so that's going to be it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all again very soon.